And I have to say, if it wasn't for the Rail Guide app, I'd have absolutely no idea that at one time that existed right there. The rail yard's up there, but look right here. We have a train bridge. Now, my first thoughts is that this has to be a CNJ bridge because back in the day, CNJ trains used to operate right here, but today it's a rail trail. And although I have been on it numerous times, today we're going to do something different. I'm going to document my progress using the Rail Guide app, because upon some initial looking, there's some things that used to exist that I had no idea about, and there's no visible signs of them today. And there's also a few things that are still existing today. If you want to find out how this is going to work and see what we're going to find, all you need to do is come along with me. So we are starting off here at the 7th Ave trailhead down here in Scranton. Providence Road is just over that direction. And this is part of the Lackawanna River Heritage Trail. I've ridden this trail numerous times. It's a really nice section. We're going to travel south all the way to where the trail ends in Taylor, right by the Norfolk Southern Taylor Yard. But along the way, we're going to be making some periodic stops because I'm going to be tracking my progress on my phone using GPS and the Rail Guide app, because upon some initial looking, I found a couple of things I had no idea even existed. So we're going to check those out and see what else we could find. This is where we're starting right here, Olive Street and 7th Avenue, and we're going to be heading south, going through a few different areas, and eventually ending up in Taylor, right before the Davis Street Bridge. So upon pulling up my location on the Rail Guide app, it shows that we're on West Olive Street here at the trailhead, but this is actual NY-O&W territory, New York, Ontario, and Western. And from what we could tell, if we look over to the right, which is, I believe, behind Taco Bell. Is that Taco Bell? No, it's not. Near Taco Bell, looks like there was a turntable there. So, I'm going to briefly ride over there, right where that location is, and show you what it looks like today. And if we're able to, we'll find this and other locations on the old map images. Alright, I took a screenshot. Right where I am right now, I'd be in the middle of a turntable, at least according to the Rail Guide app. Again, right here is NY-O&W territory, and right up there is the rail trail, and just a short ways up, it's going to turn into CNJ. But today, you can see there's nothing here, but this big flattened out area is where it resided. So, no evidence of it today, but according to Rail Guide, it did exist at one time. We're only in a few hundred yards. The bridge in front of us is Route 11 for the North Scranton Expressway, and according to the Rail Guide app, NY-O&W ended right around here. CNJ began just up here. Looks like specifically the line was directly under the bridge, although there was a secondary line off to the right, and there's a lot more lines up ahead. So let's get under the bridge. We're going to show you exactly where the starting stopping point is according to the app for the two lines. Probably had trackage rights to use each other's lines, but let's get underneath the bridge, and we're just about on target, at least according to the app. So if we bring it in closer, yep, I'm gonna do a screenshot. So officially ending, beginning right here for two different rail lines right under the Route 11 bridge here. So once we go up ahead here, we're gonna go around a big sweeping curve, and it's a big, wide, flattened out area. And it always stood out to me because it's different from other parts of the trail, but I wasn't really sure why. Well, the app is gonna reveal that in just a moment. Here's our big sweeping curve, and just up ahead of us is West Lackawanna Avenue. So I'm going to stop here because you can see it's pretty wide, pretty spacious. Up to the right up there is the old CNJ freight station or depot. But right where we are, there were numerous lines right in this area, almost like a small yard. So I'm going to do a couple screenshots with Google Earth View, and then zooming out a little bit further, and you'll be able to see now just on the other side of the river was D&H, which today is Delaware Lackawanna. But right where we are though, this whole area right here obviously looks much different today, but there was all lines, some of which went right to that depot, others were for holding and storage, and some main lines that came through as well. So again, you wouldn't know today that this app is incredibly helpful, and I'm glad I decided to look and see what used to be, because of all the times I've ridden through here, I knew I was riding on a rail line. I just never knew what else was out here beyond just that. And now we're going to pass directly under West Lackawanna Avenue, and we're going to be coming upon a train bridge. That's Bridge 60, which is used by both Steamtown and Delaware Lackawanna. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the 60th bridge from New York. I could be wrong about that, but those are the details that do stand out to me. Yeah, so I'm not going to take a screenshot here, but directly above us, DL, like I said, numerous lines up there on the bridge and numerous lines down here for CNJ. And then Norfolk Southern's further off to the right behind that building. So that's still operational today. And that at one time was DL and W, Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western over there. And also to mention, I always get asked about this app, and thankfully it is available on both iOS and Android. The name is just how you see it on the screenshots, Rail Guide. So there's nothing fancy or special, that's the name of it. But you can also pull it up on your phone or computer browser. Just search Rail Guide in your Google search. There's an actual website, has the same information on there, except on a larger screen. This is North 7th Ave right here, another trailhead. And Steamtown and Electric City Trolley Museum is directly off to our left on the other side of the Lackawanna River. And they're currently clearing out an area which is going to be a future new park down there. I don't know what they're going to have, but it's always been an off-limits, fenced-off, posted area. But I see some construction vehicles and some clear-cut trees, so progress is being made on that. Now, for the next area that we're going through, as far as I know, there's nothing special or significant here. Just the trail winding through this wooded area, paralleling the river with homes and businesses higher up on the right-hand side. But just the line coming through. But once we do get to our next crossing, well, that's where one of the biggest discoveries I've made that I had no idea existed is located. And honest to God, if it wasn't for the app and me being curious, I don't think I'd ever know that it existed there. We'll be there in a little bit. So we have a crossing up here of Broadway Street, South Scranton. We're gonna cross over and make a pit stop because this is where I made a pretty significant discovery. So just off to our left-hand side here is University of Scranton ball field. And it's a really modernized facility. And aside from the rail trail going next to it, you wouldn't think really much of it. But up here, at least according to the Rail Guide app, something did exist a long time ago, long before this ball field was put into place. I'm going to take 2 screenshots with 2 different visuals so you can see exactly what we're looking at here. But right on our left-hand side, directly where the ball field is, specifically the grandstand area, there was a turntable and a roundhouse there. Now this is why I discovered that led me to wanting to make this video, because I had no clue that that existed at one time. As far as I know, it's the same color lines as the CNJ. It's a CNJ turntable and roundhouse. And here comes like a Suron bike. And it was a half turntable. And I even went a step further, went to the old 1939, 1949 map, and 100% did exist right here in this area. So if we followed down south from Steamtown and follow the bend of the river, there indeed was a turntable and a small roundhouse located right here at this ball field. So pretty fascinating to know that at one time there was much more going on beyond just a open, cleared out area. There was also a lot more homes in this area too. So the area's been completely redeveloped, unrecognizable from what it used to be. But I found that really fascinating that that existed here at one time. And if it wasn't for the Rail Guide app, never would have known it. So right here behind the grandstand and the ball field, This is the only resemblance we have that something once existed, this flattened out area. Now there is a concrete pad here with a locked hatch. I believe it's for something with water management with the river. There's a few manhole covers, so this is obviously put in place in more modern times. There's also a overflow pipe down there to the right, but just wanted to show you, where we are. We'd be, let me pull up one more time. Yeah, we would be pretty much directly behind the building of the roundhouse. So the roundhouse would end pretty much right where the property line is there, the fence. The stalls would be in the buildings right there, and the turntable would be just in front of it. So again, this app really comes in handy for things like that, because without that, you never truly know what used to exist at one time. Coming up to West Elm now, and this road is closed. They're replacing the bridge. It's been out for over a year now, I believe. They have a temporary bridge crossing over, which will take you to the Southside Shopping Center, but the little detour goes right around it. There's normally a trailhead here, but obviously it's closed for the construction. But again, CNJ still came right through. We're going to be closer now to Norfolk Southern, which is just off to our right, less than 100 yards up there. And we're actually going to get really close to the yard, which I'll give you a glimpse of the yard once we do arrive in that area. The other thing I wanted to point out too is that the Railguide app is not 100% accurate. I'll say it's about 95% accurate. There are a few times that we did come across some inaccuracies, either where the wrong rail line was listed as either as classic or early days, or there was nothing there at all where there used to be something. The good thing is though, that app is monitored and updated regularly. I've actually messaged the admin of it, giving him some input for certain things. Other people have as well, so things do get updated and changed when it's brought to their attention. Obviously mistakes do happen, but I will say the app is about 95% accurate, and that's good enough for me. Now in a little bit we're going to be coming up to something else that is existing today. RJ and myself found it a number of years ago. I think I made a small video of it. If I did, I will link it down below in the description. But it plays a part with rail infrastructure, but I don't know if it's for CNJ or for something else. We're going to find that out, but it is something we could physically look at, maybe possibly go on to, but it's going to be further ahead, maybe about a mile and a half, and we'll come upon it on our left. Also pointing out too, on the far left-hand side, on the other side of the river, DL is over there, Delaware Lackawanna. They do have a older yard area or shop area down here in South Scranton, which they still use, but their newer shop is in Green Ridge at the Von Stork shop. But the old line's down here with numerous pieces of old equipment, and depending on which road you're on, you can sometimes get some pretty good pictures of them, or at least look at them from the road, but it's still a private, actively used area. You know what, as a bonus, on the way back, we're gonna head over there. We're gonna take the access road down and show you where the old shops are. You'll get a glimpse of some of the old equipment that's still there that you can see from a public road. So if you do want to see that, keep watching. I will share that with you a little bit later as we are returning. Need to keep my eyes peeled. The item I'm looking for is going to be coming up pretty shortly, and if you're not looking for it, you could miss it. All right, I believe I see it. Can you spot it? Probably not, but trust me, it's there. All right, we made a pit stop here. You may hear some yelling in the background. There's two people that are searching for a dog along the river on the other side. I think it got stuck or is lost. So to put things into context, up here on the right-hand side, up over that mound is the Norfolk Southern area. The rail yard's up there. But look right here. We have a train bridge. Now, my first thought is that this has to be a CNJ bridge because it meets up directly with the CNJ line that we're still riding on. But whether it's an inaccuracy or something that I'm not aware of, according to the Railguide app, that is not CNJ. That is DL and W, which would have been eventually Norfolk Southern. So makes me wonder, did they have trackage rights to use a section of line with CNJ? Because according to that, it crossed over and went directly over into the yard area. But as we can see, there's an elevation change. I know for a fact the yard is up higher than where we are down here. There was no tunnel either. So how did that work? I don't have those answers. Maybe some of you watching could answer that, but this is at grade with the CNJ. So I think we're going to take a walk over there. I'll give you just a couple quick shots of it. I don't want to really venture too much time over there. It is kind of getting grown over, and there are some areas that are a little bit sketchy, but I have crossed it before. I have documented it with RJ. I believe we actually started on the other side behind that building. But yeah, those people are having a tough time trying to get their dog back. This bridge is not that old. Looks like it's all made out of concrete and steel. I don't see any stone at all. Don't know if there's any dates. Oh, the dog's on the bridge. Hopefully he's not aggressive. So upon looking on the Railguide app one more time, I was able to figure out something that I mistakenly said. I thought it came across and went straight through. It didn't. It came across at a sweeping bend and almost went parallel to CNJ and eventually curved into the yard closer to where the trail is going to terminate. We may see some evidence of that up there with a clearing, but at the very least, it had to have at least rode on or crossed over with a crossing area or a switch area of CNJ for a short span to be able to get over next to it on the other side of CNJ. So that's the best I could come up with according to the Railguide app, but it didn't go up that way, went more that way. And there are rails in place, but they're not the rails that the trains would have rode on. Those are the derail catchers. So if the train was to ever derail, the wheels or the flanges would catch those and prevent it from going too far off rail. A lot of the ties are still here, some spikes, and the manway walkway is questionable condition. But this did cross over, and if I'm not mistaken, to service that facility right there. All right, so looking on the app once again, we're on CNJ. The line would have crossed over right here, pretty much where we are right now. So again, would have been a switch of sorts. There's some beaver action right there, cutting that tree. How you doing? So, at least according to the app, the D, L, and W would have been off to our right, CNJ over here. Not right next to each other, but close enough, stone's throw away, as I like to put it. And they basically parallel each other until the D, L, and W gradually kind of drifts right into the yard, which again, we know today is Norfolk Southern. So hopefully that makes sense. I didn't want to overcomplicate it, but I was trying to answer my own questions and just looking upon the app and kind of putting it in comparison with how the landscape is today. That is what I think was going on. Another thing to look at is the bigger picture here is off to our right. One railroad company right there, former DL&W, today NS. Right here, CNJ. On the other side of the river, on the other side of the sewer authority, was D&H, today Delaware Lackawanna. So we had 3 different railroad companies within roughly about 100, 150 yards of each other, all kind of going the same direction. And they had yards in different areas. We came upon already the yard for the CNJ, small turntable and roundhouse. Norfolk Southern had theirs up here for DL&W, and D&H have their own as well. So down here though, it's a nice sprawling cleared out area, and they've done a fantastic job with this trail too. There's a lot of areas that do get overgrown with the fake bamboo or just general foliage, and they have volunteers that come and cut the grass, cut back trees, even clean up garbage. And some areas that I haven't seen accessible for a number of years are once again cleared out and accessible. This is one of my favorite trails to ride. It's nice and paved, it's scenic. You're not too far away from civilization, but you are far away enough that you have some squirrels trying to play chicken with you, some train action if you're lucky, and the river as well. So I have no complaints about doing another ride or another video on this particular line right here. figured we'd take a little scenic detour. And I want to mention that, you know, I got into e-bikes roughly 3, almost 4 years ago, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I absolutely love going out and exploring. Now, prior to getting e-bikes, well, I still did exploring, but I was limited as to how far I could walk and how much time I had in a day. But having an e-bike opens up a whole new world of opportunities for exploring and adventures, because I could cover a lot more ground, go a lot further, and not be worn out, tired out, or run out of daylight, all thanks to an e-bike. I also love riding with my daughter Lily. This is actually her bike. Took it out today just to give it some use. But we do a lot of riding together all over the area. And I also love riding the rail trails. Exactly what we're doing today. They're full of history, and each one has something to offer different from the others. So getting out and doing this is always something I look forward to and enjoy, whether by myself or with friends or family. But there is one thing that you can encounter, that I personally encountered, that could pretty much ruin your day of riding. And that is getting a flat tire. Getting a flat tire can really ruin your day. It's one thing if you get one at home, but if you get one out on the trail and you're not prepared for it, well, it can really make or break the rest of your day of riding. But if you're prepared for it, it's not a big deal. Whenever I go out riding, there's always a few things I bring with me to handle most situations. And the thing we're talking about today is right here in this little black pouch. No, it's not a GoPro. It's what I'm dubbing one of the world's smallest air pumps. And having this can mean the difference between a fun or a miserable day of riding, because if you get a flat tire and you're not prepared for it, that could be a deal breaker. This right here is a lifesaver. Really gives you peace of mind. So simple to use, so compact, it can literally fit in your pocket. And whether you want to add just a few pounds of air or replace a flat tire, this is what you're going to want to have with you. And it's a simple 3-button design, has a built-in rechargeable battery, digital display readout, and even a little built-in LED light to give you some illumination if you're doing this at night. So since I do have some really low air pressure right now, all we're going to do is screw in the hose right here. We're then going to screw it onto our valve. Now once you attach it to your tire and turn it on, it gives you a current readout of how much PSI is currently in the tire. Right now there's about 1.5 pounds, just shy of 2 pounds. And use the plus and minus to set the desired PSI. I like to run 20 pounds, so I have it set for 20. And we're going to hit the power button. And just like that, it stops automatically once it reaches the desired PSI that you set it. So right now it's showing 20 pounds, nice and firm, how I like it, and I'm good to go. Now obviously there are hand pumps and foot pumps that are small that you could bring with you. And before having something like this, that's what I had. But they go much slower to fill up your tire. It's not only slower, but you're gonna wear yourself out having to pump it up manually. But obviously it's better than nothing. But this, I feel, is an absolute must for anyone who does any type of riding, whether it be bicycle, e-bike, scooter, dirt bike, street bike, ATV, side-by-side. To absolutely have this with you. It takes up no room at all, hardly any weight, can fit in your pocket. Now, it is not designed for vehicle tires, but it does come with attachments if you want to do some sports equipment like volleyball, beach ball, football, basketball. So you can use it at home, use it out on the trail. But even if you never need it, it's good having peace of mind. But I can almost guarantee anyone who does riding, at one point or another, you're either going to get a slow leak or a flat tire. And at the very least, this can help get you to an area where you could properly address the situation. Now, if you do want to get more information and get one for yourself, there will be a link down below in the description. But now that we have the proper PSI in our tires, let's get back to riding. We're now nearing not only the access to Norfolk Southern Tailor Yard, but also the official ending of this trail, at least for this particular section. Well, I'm going to show you where it does keep going and explain what the proposed plans are in the future. So there's a little bridge right here. This is where the trail ends or begins, depending on which way you're going. And at one time, there used to be a trailhead down here. Just on the other side of this gate, on the right-hand side right here, this overgrown area, Used to be able to hold about 3 to 5 cars, but property changed hands for the access road, where now it's private property. You can still access it on foot or bike, but you can no longer drive back here. But the CNJ line would have continued right where we're riding. So this is not officially part of the trail, but from what I've heard, and these are rumors I've heard from a couple years ago, is that they're going to develop this and eventually connect it all the way down to Pittston. So you'll be able to ride from essentially where we started in Scranton all the way down to Pittston. And I do have good faith it will happen. As to when that's going to be, I have no information, but I know it has been talked about. I know they were in preliminary stages of planning it, but as of right now, you can, I guess, essentially ride back here, but you can't go a whole lot further, and I'll show you why. But the bridge directly ahead of us is the Davis Street Bridge, and off to our left is still the Lackawanna River. But once we get under the bridge, that's basically as far as we're going to be able to go. So I'm going to stop here. The trail does go another few hundred feet, but it basically merges right onto active railroad property. Right here, the track closest to us is Norfolk Southern, and on the other side of that pier or column is Reading and Northern. So they both come in, but Norfolk Southern crosses the river on a black bridge further back, which then meets up with the carbon line of Delaware Lackawanna, which is now more or less a holding line. But once Norfolk Southern crosses the river, it stays on that side of it all the way until it reaches Lower Moosic. And then Reading and Northern stays on that side all the way into Old Forge and Duryea and then the Pittston Yard. So eventually we should be able to keep going and have a right-of-way near one of the tracks or a crossing somewhere to kind of get over safely, cross at your own risk type of thing. But as of right now, this is as far as we're going. But we're going to turn around and head back for a little detour to the Norfolk Southern train yard. You're allowed to come through here. It's a public crossing right here. And a lot of people do access the trail this way on either foot or bike. And right up here by this Connex container is where I've captured a lot of trains going north and south. So just to show you close proximity as to how everything kind of plays a part in itself. This is former DLNW, today Norfolk Southern, with the exception of Reading and Northern coming right through here on the track closest to us. No trains coming through today, so we are going to retreat back where we came from, head to Elm Street, hang a right, and I'm going to take you for a ride over to the older DL yard, where there's still several old pieces of equipment and locomotives sitting there that we should be able to get a glimpse of from the roadway. I'll see you over there. We've arrived at the area of the old DL shops. Now for reference, we were on the other side of that building on the CNJ line documenting that bridge where the dog was loose. So we're directly on the other side of that on DL line right here. But we are on a public road, so we're okay from where we are. And here though, you get a glimpse of some of the old equipment. First one there is an old, looks like a coach baggage car. And then a box car. Route of VB Snow. Learned about her at Steamtown. Another boxcar there. Service caboose. And then we have an old unit right there. A lot of these are basically, I don't want to say scrap, but no longer going to be operable probably for parts. That one's pretty much stripped, completely open. These look like RS units. And most of these are all ALCO, American Locomotive Company. So there's various eras, various models. There's some further up there which I can't get any closer to, unfortunately. The ones on the closest line to us, though, I think are operable. But we're going to go on the other side of these buildings and be able to see a few more of them. This is the one of them you probably see at Steamtown on Bridge 60. And you have a nickel plate road, City of Lima. Nice two-tone blue and silver. And some more boxcars. Now there is more equipment on the other side of this, but you have to get to it from another access road. And I've already been over there. I think I've shown that in previous videos, so not going to bother doing that today. But this is the older shop area of DL, Delaware Lackawanna. Again, it's still an actively used site. It's not abandoned or anything like that. But their new primary shops are in Green Ridge. Some people consider it North Scranton, but it's named the Von Stork Shops. And it's a larger facility and probably better access to some of their main lines at least. But since we were in the area, I wanted to stop over and show you some of the old equipment that's still hanging out today, all of which has a story to tell. And just like that, we are back where we started. What a fun little adventure. Saying definitely goes, no matter how many times I return to a location, I always seem to find or learn something new. And today, with the help of the Railguide app, we learned and found quite a few things. One of which I had no idea ever existed. That turntable and roundhouse at the ball field complex. That went under the radar for me. And if it wasn't for the app, I never would have known about it. And up until a few days ago, I had no idea it ever existed. Beyond that, though, just up here we saw where the old rail yard used to be, just below the CNJ depot. And of course, the abandoned train bridge where that dog met up with its owner. That one has me perplexed, where it looks like DL and W crossed over it, sharing trackage rights with CNJ. I have seen that done before down in Exeter, where LV, Lehigh Valley, shared rights with West Pittston and Exeter Railroad, a short line railroad, to service a power plant that no longer exists. I did a video on that several months ago. So trackage rights could have been shared, and that could have been the case down here. But if you happen to know otherwise, by all means, share it down below. But the Railguide app was incredibly helpful. It got to show us where we were in present day, in contrast to where things used to be. But by all means, we'd love to hear any additional details you could share with us to help fill in the blanks of questions I may or may not have been able to answer. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, for coming along. And don't forget, if you want to get that little tiny air pump for yourself, which I highly recommend, check that link down below. Otherwise, take care, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.